Hello, 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 everyone. Mike Arnold here, co-founder, Pat Trading Partners, along with Bob Iacchino. Good afternoon, Davey. Good afternoon, Patrick. Good afternoon, Josh. Hey, be happy bear market season. The Bears were out in force today. Hello, Amadeus. I'm going to be watching for a bounce sometime over the next couple days, yes, and then we gauge how much and setting up for a potential bigger short. Not the big short. Well, it could be the big short. Let's see. So yes, then we get the bigger, but you know what? There's no bottoming pattern yet, so don't get overexcited just yet. By the way, if you are new here, please do consider subscribing, ringing that bell, and hitting the like button. Other than that, let's just get right to it. So, wiping out. We'll take a look at. It's pretty much wiped out everything since those CPI prints, the 8.5 CPI print. Tomorrow, Red Book Minor. I just like this because it's not inflation adjusted to see what the consumer's doing. Then you got the PMI flash 15 minutes after the open, which is also, I mean, medium. Gonna see if anything else drops a contraction or if the services pops out of contraction. Remember, 50 is the contraction level. Will it be major market moving? Home sales? Market's already written that off. Richmond Fed? I'm paying attention to it just from the state that of the overall macro perspective, but whether the market will react to it or not, probably unlikely. The bigger thing is after the close tomorrow, Kashikari speaking. So you see pretty much nowhere to hide today. Very, very red. Even with the oil bounce, oil stocks couldn't get anything going on today. Mega caps getting hit across the board. Ugly day. Still slightly favoring the 75 basis point. Remember, that's not till September 21st. And we have Jackson Hole with Fed. The big thing is Powell speaking on Friday at Jackson Hole. This is now updated. You see the gamma, zero gamma is 42.34. And we're well below that. As I talked about, we are in negative gamma, which not only amplifies the downside, but also amplifies the upside up until about 42.34. Do keep that in mind. Zoom after hours. Zoom was a pretty big gap down and earnings miss. So we shall see tomorrow morning before the open. I know some people follow XPeng. It's not one of my. I'm going to check in, as I said before, on Sunday. I'm going to check in at Macy's for inflation and consumer stuff. That's really it. And then tomorrow after the close, we got Advanced Auto Parts. It'll be interesting to see how Toll Brothers reports. Bigger things are after the close on Wednesday. That's the big day this week going into Jackson Hole. So let's see. I still had Zoom up there. Up, down here. 90.59. I'm expecting this to make the round trip back to the lows in May. Looks like we're probably going to close tomorrow unless we get a rip your face off rally and definitely below that 62.5. Fading round trip. Then I'm actually for new lows after that. So let's see where we sit. Let's see. Who did I miss here? Hey, Josh. Hey, John. Looks like almost a month. Took us less than a week to gain it back. Yep. Rally Tuesday. Well, let's turn around Tuesday tomorrow. We'll see. Going to use the European session. Also, remember the wedge pattern in the S&P. Essentially, targets are hit. You know, there's not exact redrawing on between the time frames, but, you know, coming down in here, these targets are done because even if it travels sideways, remember the target is rising. So even if it just travels sideways overnight, targets hit in this wedge pattern. So I'm just going to remove it, so we can declutter the chart a bit. If the sell-off continues, let me go over the next levels. It's going to really be seen in the European. We're in a major support area. This consolidation at the end of May, beginning of June. this consolidation right before the August 10th CPI print, which we essentially wiped out all the rally, not down to the open, but we've wiped out pretty much the rally. So everybody who bought the CPI rally on the break above this key resistance is now technically underwater. Still, I'll be watching for a bounce with daily cycles getting to the low, and then we might be setting up for a really nice bigger short pattern. So this was the temporary wedge short back down. Actually, it looks like it's going to close also below the rotation zone. Where's the next levels if we continue? About 41.25, and then major would be back to the 50. The 50 and this red line here is the 37.5 retracement from before. So we were back. Remember, we're watching for the rollover. We hit that 200, and remember, between the 50 and the 62.5, these lines up here, we watch for the rollover play. We definitely have the rollover play. So now watching for the bounce play, but nothing really yet. You see here, that is nothing. You have this little mini double bottom on the 15-minute pattern, but that's just taking it back potentially to the prior support. So that's no big bounce pattern. That's just a 15-minute little pattern. Again, your key support coming in about 40.80 on a continued decline. Out of the overbought conditions on the daily, nearly back to oversold in the matter of 1, 2, 3, 4 days. Now remember, weekly cycles were finally getting the rollover. So even on bounce plays, we get those dailies unless Powell comes out and says, you know what, maybe we're going to pause or pivot in September. Then we'll get continued rip your face off rally mode. Other than that, going to watch for the next little bounce and then the big rollover play, and we might have a nice little topping pattern depending on how much, when we do get the snapback rally, it does rally back. Hey, Lauren, how are you doing? ZM lowers. Yeah, thanks. Again, you're going to see more of these outlook lowering, more of the, I think the next earnings season is going to really get interesting. Thought it was going to get more interesting this one. I was obviously wrong. I was obviously early on that, but really now focused with all the guidance contraction now, unless they're starting to sandbag. Remember, they're like Walmart sandbagged and beat it easily. But that game only lasts for so long. Hey, George. Hey, Dan Jet. You picked up a 90 put. Was that in Zoom? In the Zoomers? Yeah, well, that would be, you picked up a 90 put before earnings? Before close. Okay, good job there. Then that's the next harmonic level. Right there at that 75. And then if you were looking, again, if anybody's looking to roll it down, especially if we have a little snapback and roll over again, the next key level, 84.72. So what would the strike price I'd be using for next play or to build spreads would be the 85 spread. This is, and then the next spread is 79.10, so I'd be using the 80s for even further down. And if I was building things on a rally, if I was trying to get on a leg closer to at the money, if we do try to rally back at all, back to this, because you can't discount the still the gap buyers of this crap. Not that Zoom's complete crap, but it's still overvalued. This PE will still come back. This you'll see below 15 again, especially since they're out of growth mode. But any rallies, then I'd use the 95 strike. Let's just see where we sit. NASDAQ, if we do continue, I'm really focused on the 50 EMA coming in about 12,786 to about 12,800. And right below that, 12,738, we have a harmonic. So that's my zone I'm focused on. If the downward pressure continues tomorrow, do keep in mind, we do have a substantial clear path move. Let me jump back to the S&P real quick. You see it here. So when that happens, I got to use this prior resistance level now. The first level back in the S&P is 4163, then 4183 are the two key resistance points on any rally. But what I want to stress out is we are still in negative gamma. So if there gets an impetus for a little snapback rally, you are into a clear path with negative gamma. So you could see a snapback rally potentially stronger than people think. Okay, just because you have a vacuum down here. So do keep that in mind. You can see here NASDAQ. Key levels I'm watching since we're through all this. Key level I'm watching is about 13K. You can pay attention to about 1360 to 72 with the declining 4-hour rotation zone for a little reaction there. And then the next major area, if I can move my gosh darn pointer, is right around 13,170, 13,175 for a reaction. So that's for the levels to get the bounce. And you do have now, remember, people who bought all this into this play are all traps. So you could see some liquidation of stuff on any rally back into this area. So please do keep that in mind. That's why this next rally, even in that clear path, there could be a couple stopping points, and then I'll be watching for the next rollover play. Especially, we've already hit the oversold. That does not mean you can't get more oversold. We don't have a firm bottoming pattern yet. And we are at cycle bottom, so I'll start watching for something tomorrow or the overnight price action. Dow coming back down, finally hitting the other end of the rotation zone. Still, if this just travels sideways, it's going to complete the wedge play. Next major support is 32,835 area. The resistance area is coming back down at 33,300, 33,311 area right there. Again, clear path to the upside. We don't need to dwell on these. Russell actually closing below the rotation zone into this key support area I put on. Russell on a bounce play. I got to come a little closer to here. About 1940. And if we do break lower, the next major support areas is 50% harmonic 1890. DAX coming back down to the 50% harmonic. DAX is getting almost oversold and with cycle bottoms. On a bounce play, I'm going back to about 13,340 to 13,380. If it continues, there are some stopping points before we continue lower to that 62.5, namely about 13,100. And then I'd be targeting as 12,972. Notes coming into that support zone, but no great pattern here. Now, it is aggressive bounce buy if we did close above today's high tomorrow with cycles at the bottom to get back into a longer term potential play, and that would be against this key support, so it would be a very tight stop with that. Crude, OPEC hinting they may cut, which would be give us a nice little bounce rally. I'm watching above yesterday's high on a break, and then my first target would be 94.09 to about 95.58 minor, but I'm really watching 94.09 to 95 with the 200. Let me just pull off this other level. That would be a nice play, and then potentially above that, where would we go? We'd be back, and that would take us out of the cycle bottoms, potentially back into the rotation zone. So I'd be focused on the 25% harmonic, about 95.25. So that's the potential upside play there. Let's see. Hey, Connor, nice to have you. Thanks, AB. Yep. Yeah, I know you follow Xpeng. Let's see. So where are we? Where? What are the various topping patterns outside double tops and right shoulders? Any others? I will be watching any topping patterns. I would be watching for a head and shoulders to form, unless we get the really strong double top rally and kiss the 200 buy again. Theoretically, could happen in these wacky markets. More likely, I'm watching for a rally to form a right hand shoulder, and then we'll use the targets off a potential head and shoulders in the NASDAQ. Now this will be downward sloping, so I'll have to use a flat shoulder, so the S&P is going to be the better one. And the Dow will probably have a better one right there. Those will be the two main ones I'm focused on. Dollar index continued its march higher. So not much else to add there besides watching, again, this 109.14 area for minor resistance. And then if it keeps moving, the breakout play to 109.72. Little overextended with the daily cycles at the top. So if we do pull back, key pullback level, I just watched for a return to the 87.5, about 108.56. VIX, little interesting topping move at the end of the day after reconnecting with the 200. So I'll be watching this, especially tomorrow, to see if it continues a little pullback play, which means we could be trying to form that short-term bottom. Euro, back below parity. So remember, next target 99, then major 98.50. Bitcoin actually held up better than I thought today. But nothing else to do besides what I covered this morning. If we do break below this 2820 area, then 2435 is the next key support. Tesla, we'll take a look also at the Qs and everything else in a second. Tesla could not get the close below the daily rotation zone. If we do break down tomorrow, we close below that 62.5. So again, we should technically retest this area between 851 and 838. You get the close below 838, you got the double. On a bounce, I'd just be really focused on today's high, because then you have the potential gap play before another rollover. Let's just peek at the Qs. Which I did not get a chance to update the chart today on this platform. The Qs, your next major level. Again, it's going to be a downward sloping head and shoulders if that forms there. But your next major support level is 311 with the 50. And don't ignore this gap at 309.81. On any rally in the Qs, your breakdown area is right here. So your 316.50 and then today's high. And then it would be a potential gap fill play to the upside. And by the way, this gap right here from the 9th into the 10th is filled by a gap. So this gap's technically filled. Keep that in mind. You can fill a gap with a gap. All right, so if we do rally, really pay attention to this 4-hour rotation zone and at least a partial gap fill play. But the first target's the upside, 316.51, then today's high. The Spideys, pretty much the same story. Next key area is not the 50, though. Next key area is this 409.60. And then on any rally, 415 with the 4-hour rotation zone. And then it would be today's high. Today's open to high price, about 417.05 to 417.23, well before the gap fill play. And this gap, by the way, before that 409.60, you have the gap. So if we do get some more pressure tomorrow morning, 411.34 would be the support level I would be focusing on. And if we rally, then after we play the next rollover, then I'd be focused on that gap fill. Hello, Sashi. Time to eat some, what is that? What are those? Apples at 140? Retrace levels work like magic. The retrace levels work very well. Apple, do you think it will test the wedge before going down some more? Remember, Apple's 7% of the whole thing. Do I think it will test this? It was a horrible wedge. It's essentially nearly a parallel wedge. That's why I don't have it on here. I'll put it up. See, it's nearly a parallel wedge, which that's why I really don't like parallel wedges, because they just don't test out as well. But if you want the target for the wedge with Apple, see, it's virtually hit. And a wedging needs to more not be parallel, but that's the key level. The key, Apple's coming into a major support area. So if we do trend lower tomorrow, there's major support between this gap, between the bottom of the rotation zone, and between this support. So I'd be watching for a short-term bouncing pattern between 166.40 to 164.92. And then personally, with the cycles finally rolling over, Apple out of pinned overbought position, getting to cycle bottom, I'd be watching for the next little move up and then the bigger rollover play. What would be my targets for the next rollover play if I was using options? I'd be targeting the 200. And then below that, because you break below the 200, I'd be using this gap fill play back from the 28th of July. So if I was constructing a downwards play off the next little reactive rally, those are the targets I would be utilizing for the next Apple rollover. Especially if it did return to this weekly rotation zone, 3750 area. Let's see where that is on the daily. That's just below that 200 and right in front of that gap fill. So this would be a major target area below the 200. Oxy holding up while the market dumps while everybody's in. That'll catch up once everybody loses the interest in the Buffett play, and then we'll get that. You know, this was not terribly bullish today, but on a little pullback, if oil keeps rallying, watch for an easy return to this 87.50, about this 71 to 74. So I'd be watching this on a shorter term basis for any breakout play. The key level I'd be watching intraday is about 69.75. If it breaks above that, retests and hold, then I'd be utilizing it for a gap play and then the 71.50 area again. If that's not held and it breaks below about 68, I'd be watching for a return to this little support at 66. And then if oil's strong, that would be really a nice area to watch for a more substantial bottoming play in OXY. Who else is it? That's not a bad call, but I don't think Powell's getting replaced. Oh, that's good information. Your wife said everything is on in person or on a different platform. What platform? What platform are they using instead of Zoom? That's interesting because we could see, I mean, technically, from a technical analysis perspective, we should see a downward price action in Zoom. Coco, you're just, you've been blinded by, where is TomTom, by the way? Why doesn't TomTom show up on these days? Yeah, with technology, I pretty much agree. Well, the fantastic one was Apple off the double bottom play from a more swing perspective. I mean, if you remember, there was this big double on Apple. That was, again, I love these doubles. Gave little pullback area and then completed. So you got the weekly close. Above there, you got the next week's open, returning to the buy zone, and then just a rocket ship up, completing the target. So that was a good one. Another good play was the in some of the ETFs. I love playing doubles. I love playing doubles. We had this one, the VTV play, which, because there are not a lot of stocks that were great value, it was nice to play the Vanguard Value ETF. That completed the double. That one was a little more challenging. You had to get in on this nice little this little pullback here. Those were a couple nice plays. And then other stuff is more so geared. It's tactile trading, so it's more so geared to very short-term stuff. Tom's eating caviar with his SPY Carls. Well, okay. If the PCE misses, then we're going down hard. And Powell save the day once again. Yeah, we got PCE coming up at the end of the week, which is very big. Friday, starting on Wednesday afternoon, we got a lot of stuff. So everything's packed in Wednesday afternoon with some key earnings, then Thursday and Friday. So keep that in mind. And even if people have been buying, the market's been buying, every time Powell speaks, it's been a natural buy signal. So even if he's hawkish, it might still be a buy signal coming up. I'm just looking what else to see. Oh, but hold on. When the next big rollover, we haven't even taken out the recent major lows. I doubt we'll get a V-shaped recovery. We'll only get a V-shaped recovery if Fed starts emergency cutting again. I'd more so if the Fed doesn't reverse action and do a major rate cut, we probably won't get a V-shaped recovery. We'll probably more get a standard bottom, Sashi. So that is key right there. What else was I going to talk about? Oh, we still have who's this Meet Kevin guy? And the high thing of inflation might be in, but they can't be risking inflation staying like above 5% and getting entrenched, even more so than it already is. Because long term, that will really crush the economy. So that will be hard. Continued sessions, commentary, and team. All right, so that's the streaming services. By the way, for everybody wondering, I don't know how many people we get who follow this. You got AMC. Don't pay attention to all this crap. All right, because he's putting out a lot of crap about Ape being worthless and AMC selling his Ape to buy AMC. In case anybody's tuning in, we're not a meme stock channel, but Ape is not worthless. Okay? I retweeted some stuff earlier. There's some very smart people who've done the analysis. And if you look here, and I just want to get this information out there, Ape is not worthless, so stop listening to these garbage people. This is done by another person, not by me, but this is from the 8K. All right, these are the Ape units. These are AMC. Okay, they're preferred equity units. They only should be valued at 0.0001 more than the common. But if you look here, They're pretty much on par with common stock that have 0.0001 technical preferred basis. So technically they should trade for less than a penny higher than the common. But they are legitimate. It was a way to issue more shares without the shareholders balked because they wanted a tight float. So this is the way they got around it. So since it was essentially a share issue, you have to add AMC plus APE to get now the true value of the company. So this gap down, and technically APE shares should be trading on like that 0.00 more than AMC. Now, if you could actually borrow this would be a great short because AMC was hard to borrow everywhere. But this would be go long APE, go short AMC. Why? They should converge at a price. Anybody who says differently does not know what they're talking about. So if you want the true value of the company, you have to add AMC plus APE. So the close 1646. So if we go back to the AMC chart, it would just be trading right around here. So if people are telling you, any AMC holders who happen to stumble on this and you've stayed with it this long, don't just dump your APE shares and go buy more AMC shares because you're throwing money out the window. You're literally selling something at $6 that should be worth par with the AMC shares. So if you're selling APE to buy AMC, you're being completely misled by morons. This would be a great arbitrage play if it could be borrowed. What would the play be? Because AMC is higher than APE, you short AMC, you buy APE, and wait for the convergence. Other than that, anybody who's telling you something different does not know what the crap they're talking about. And the company has to be valued now by adding the two values together. So don't listen to these people. I don't even know. I don't follow a lot of people on YouTube in this space because I don't like to listen to garbage. So, and I don't want to pump. We don't pump things here. I'm trying to teach people how to do their analysis. Okay, I'm not picking on him. I've seen a lot of information coming out today by somebody called this Meet Kevin, who other people have been talking about, who's not giving proper information. So I'm not picking on you, Meet Kevin, but you know what? You got to give people proper information, and the APE shares aren't worthless. Should I color my hair for some shock value? I'm not trying to lecture people. I'm just trying to help people. I'm really not trying to lecture people. And I'm sorry if I come across as people's dads. I'm not trying to do that. I really don't want, and if I make a mistake, I'll correct it. But there is just a lot of information out there on the Reddit boards, on some of these YouTube channels that is literally costing people money. And I'm not an AMC fan. I think AMC is going to get absolutely pummeled in the long term and going to have to go through restructuring, if not bankruptcy, eventually. However, you don't want to flush money away being stupid. Especially if you got issued those shares because you were holding AMC. You don't just want to dump them at a discount and turn around and buy AMC again. That's flushing money away. Play meme stocks. You can flush money away just on itself. What BBY do? Again, I'm not trying to sound like anybody's dad. I'm just trying to look. I mean, I don't know why people want the quick hits instead of learning to do things sensibly. Because if you're trapped, you're screwed. And you got to wait for the next pump. Oh, well. So, hey, Lauren, thanks. Mike, can I wear a green hat? That was good. I can hold my green bottle up. There. That's what I would look like with a green hat on. Oh boy. He's just going for yeah, but you can't go for more. You know what? This is the problem. You're costing people legitimately money. I guess that's why we grow so slow. Demand for oil will come back, will calm down. It'll be interesting. Long term, we still have the bearish pattern. Don't worry, this guy attacks others more credible YouTubers. Great. Okay, so that's where we sit. All right. So, do you like my green hat, Dan, or my green water bottle? With that, sorry I wasted people's time. I just wanted to get some clarification. So, if anybody asks you about that, or you see other people spreading misinformation, try to correct them with this AMC ape thing and try to steer people away from these meme stocks and then becoming diamond hands and help them learn to really analyze stuff and trade more effectively. With that, we'll watch for some potential bottoming price action tonight if some key levels hold, and be able to prepare if we're going to get the bounce within the next couple days going into Wednesday afternoon. Well, thank you, Josh. And you got to learn the right way and use some good solid tools and don't be swayed by misinformation, and at least ask people who know something some good questions. You're welcome, Dr. Michael. You're welcome, George. Maybe a red hat with green logo? Green. You know what? I got to find out. I used to have a Mario hat. I got to see if I can find that. Maybe I'll dig out my Mario hat for one of these days. I dressed up years ago as Mario from, Super Mario from Nintendo with my overalls. So I'll see if I can find my Mario hat for the live stream at some point. Slow and steady growth builds long-term loyal followers, and slow and steady growth with the occasional, you can get a great trade, hit the home run occasionally, but that's the way you build a long portfolio. Slow and steady. And then, you know what? Some trades pop in your favor and you stop out of stuff that's going against you quickly at key levels. And then slow and steady wins the race. With that, I will chat with everyone later. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Mike, I need to collaborate with other famous YouTubers. How long do you think they'd put up with me? Looking better than Elon and Saturday Night. Wasn't he Wario? I'm not dressing up as Wario. It would either be Mario or Luigi for me to get a pump. Again, well, find a YouTuber that really wants to deal with me. And I'll do a collab with them. Somebody who really wants to deal with me. Hey, Amadeus, thanks. See you guys later. Again, have a wonderful evening. I'll talk to everyone. Bye for now.